just would like to hear what your thoughts are on Jason Verrett and how he looks this year, perhaps compared to last year.
For sure. The corner spot opposite Sherm, obviously, we'd like to see a competition over there. There's um, it is wide open, if you want to call it that, and so we're just trying to give guys opportunities to go win that job. As far as it goes, as Verrett is concerned, he's been looking good. He looks a lot more comfortable. He looks a lot more confident. It's just a matter of him getting back into the feel of it. It's been a while for him that where he's been able to put together a full training camp. So he's off to a good start.
Hey, Robert, this is Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee. A lot of people have talked about Javon Kinlaw and all the physical skills and the tools that he has. But how have you, what have your impressions been of him on the practice field in the early going?
We're excited to have him. Like every rookie, it's just a different feel when you get on the practice field, especially when you go against an offense like ours who moves at such a fast pace, who make you run as a defensive line. It's not a power game that you've got to play. It's more of a speed game. And for him, he's like every rookie. It's fourth day of camp. Legs are probably getting a little bit heavier, but we're excited to have him. He showed a lot of explosive movements through individual drills in the first 10 days, and he's a very large human being, very powerful man. And he just needs to continue to grind and lean on the veterans in that room and continue to get better every day.
Hey, Robert, it's Jennifer Lee Chan. Along with Javon, you've got Dee Ford, who's healthy on the other side. What do you see differently from this defensive line this season?
It's we're last year. You see the same confidence, the same effort, the same tenacity. Bosa looks great. Dee Ford looks great. Armstead, I know he's coming through, but he's looked good, and we'll get him back here soon. But DJ looks good. Saleh looks good. I mean, the whole group. I'll be honest with you. I'd be. You got a bunch of men that are capable of being on a 53-man roster in this league, and so it's a deep group, a good group, a physical group, and we're excited to have them.
Hey, Robert, Nick Wagner here. Obviously, you lost some production in losing a guy like DeForest Buckner. How helpful and important is it to have a healthy Dee Ford this year in terms of maybe replacing? I know they're not the same position, but replacing some of that production.
For sure. Whether Buck was here or not, Dee Ford was a big part of what we did a year ago, and having him for a full season is very important. And losing Buck is a big deal. We all love Buck, and not just for the football player, but all the things that he did off the field, as well as the leadership he provided. So he's good for him with everything that's happened to him and his family, and I'm very excited for him moving forward. But as a group collectively, it's no one person's going to replace Buckner's production. It's everyone's just got to elevate their game a little bit more and find ways to produce in their own way. But as a unit, they can remain strong and continue to be dominant like they were a year ago.
Hey, Robert, if I could slip in two kind of related questions. One, I wanted to ask you about Kerry Hyder, just your impressions of him. And then, just having that pass rushing depth. I know that defense took a little dip last year when, Dee and obviously Ronald were both out. Do you feel like you've got enough there as far as candidates? And, maybe where does Hyder fit in that mix?
So Kerry, he is a Kaceric's been talking about him forever. I mean, it's I would equate the man crush I have on Ronnie Blair as Kaceric's man crush with Kerry. But now, not to say that Kaceric doesn't love all his D linemen, but Kerry is a very reliable, not a grunt work, but he will get dirty, he'll get grimy, he can rush the passer, he can do a lot of different things. You can ask him to do a lot of different things, and so we're excited that Kerry's here. He's made a great first impression. Excited to get Ronnie back too, to add to the depth of that defensive line. But in my opinion, you can never have enough pass rushers. You're right. In the D line, it got a little beat up towards the end of the year, and guys got a little bit tired up front by having to take extra reps, and the depth part of it. Getting Deion Jordan here is a plus. And just when you're talking about the outside guys, so just the overall group in general. We feel very excited about all the depth they have and all the different options that we have. So the second group, and the whole philosophy of coming at them in waves. That second group is just as good as that first group. Well, not just as good, but they're able to come in and keep the production high.
Two things, Robert. One is, what has Kocurek communicated to you about why Kerry Hyder is to him what Ronald Blair is to you? What does he like so much about him? And B, let's move to the interior pass rush on nickel downs. How do you see that shaking out?
Well, so with Kacerek's explanation of Kerry, it's really the same things that I'll describe to you about Ronnie. He's just a very reliable. You can call him a Swiss Army knife, but they're still productive. Guys who are usually a jack of all trades really aren't exceptional at anything. But when you look at a guy like Ronnie and Kerry Hyder, those guys have made a living playing their role and producing at a very high level. And Kerry, when he's been with Kacerek, has produced at a very high level. And you can see why a coach can get comfortable with a person like him, because they do things the right way. They work their tails off. They'll get dirty. They're smart. You can ask them to do a lot of things, and they're not just there to fill a void, because they're going to go in and they're going to produce. And so you see a lot of similarities there. And I've made the comment before that if you had 11 Ronnie Blairs, you'd be a really good defensive line. And it's the same thing. I mean, Kerry Hyder, Ronnie, all the different pieces that we have on that defensive line, they all play a very specific role, and they're all very productive in what they're asked to do.
Hi, Robert. It's David. With K1 out right now at the nickel spot, I saw Jamar Taylor there today. What does his experience bring? Because I know that he's been in the league for a while and has seen several of these schemes, and I think including this one.
Jamar brings. Glad Jamar's here. Losing DJ Reed hurt just because with all his flexibility and versatility that he's had for us. But Jamar, he made a play today in practice that, he's seen it from our offense a few times, and he played the play. Wasn't his play to make, but he still made the play just because he's seen it so much. And so you kind of, with those veterans, having experience, understanding football, you're not teaching them the basics of football. You're trying to get them to a level 301, 401 of teaching. So he's very smart. He's been reliable. He works his tail off, and he's off to a pretty good start also.
Robert, Nick Bosa mentioned recently that his workout regimen led to his body maybe not looking so much like a bodybuilder. He seems a little bit leaner now. Have you noticed that? And could you explain why he might have gone about changing his body that way?
I'll be honest. He looks a little leaner, but I think he's also a lot stronger. I attribute it just to the maturation of a human being, and he's out of college. He's had his first off season, and he's just completely with a professional workout crew, if you will. Him and his brother grinding out in Florida and doing whatever they had to do to get ready, and you can tell that those two, the Bosa brothers, have a very strict eating regimen, workout regimen, and they take very, very good care of themselves. And you just see it. I mean, the guy's showed up in unbelievable shape. He looks fantastic. He's moving very well, and he's been able to maintain the thing that people don't recognize, and that's his power.
Robert, this is kind of a big picture question, but we haven't talked to you since the draft, and you guys spent obviously another first rounder on a defensive lineman. I know teams have different beliefs in how they build things out, whether they invest in secondary or up front. Why is it so important for you guys to put so much emphasis on the pass rush, and how has that maybe evolved in the years you guys been together since you've been here?
Kyle and John, they've always, they've always had that philosophy. I've always had that philosophy, obviously coming with the way I was raised. And you look at Kyle and going through the offensive side of the ball and recognizing what gives him problems, and it's always a very disruptive front. And you look at John Lynch, who'd been a safety in this league, and recognizing that when he was in coverage, it was a lot easier to cover when the quarterback held the ball for less than 3 seconds versus when he was back there baking a pizza. And when you look at an offensive system, the quarterback is the best football player on the team, and the only the only group that single-handedly can affect that quarterback is a really good pass rush, unless you decide to manufacture pressure on the quarterback, but then you got to have a tremendous back end. That's where it goes back and forth. And so when you can rush 4 and manufacture great coverage in the back end, and that quarterback is disrupted by the 4 men in front, it just you can create a very sound defense that eliminates explosives and makes teams earn every single yard, and you can play a very consistent style of football with them. So that's, we always say rush and coverage go hand in hand, and here it does for sure.
Hey, Robert, Jake Hutchinson. Tarvarius Moore has looked really good so far, but in the pecking order, traditional safety, he's probably behind Jimmy Ward. Do you anticipate you might use more dime looks as you did a little bit in the Super Bowl and use Tarvarius that way?
It's possible. Tarvarius is a very versatile asset to the group, and trying to find ways to get him on the football field are very important to us. He's got tremendous speed. He's got great awareness. He's smart. He knows what to do, and so there's always that possibility to continue using him, especially with all these offenses that are going with 10 personnel, or they've got these backs that are very shifty out of the backfield where they're pretty much like slot receivers. So there's obviously a role for him, even though he might be behind Jimmy. He still has a role with this football team.
I think we got one more.
Yeah, Robert, I felt Fred Warner's hit today was the first really big pop that we've seen of training camp. What's that like, after such a weird and long off season to finally get the good proper hit? Obviously, everybody was okay, but what was your reaction to that, and did it bring back a little sense of normalcy for you?
I'm going to be very, very honest. Kyle and myself, all of us were very, very stern with protecting one another and taking care of the team. So my first reaction when he hits his teammate is the offensive player all right? You don't want to see it in practice. I wish we had preseason games so we can get it in there, but honest, it's more of my reaction goes right to the offense. It's just whether or not the kid he hit it or the person he hit is all right. So I'm not much fun on that one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
All right, thanks, Robert.
All right, guys, thank you.
This is cool. Is there like a particular, what am I looking at?
Are you Kerry?
Yep, Kerry.
Hey, how's everything going?
I was going well. How you doing?
Here, let me get good. Thanks. Hey, what is it about your relationship with Chris Kocurek that that is mutual beneficial to both you guys?
Man, he kind of been with me since I was a pup. You know, when I was on practice squad and working my way through the league. You know, he was there for me, and he's been coaching me up for a long time. So just I guess we're comfortable with each other.
Hey, Kerry, Nick Wagner from ESPN here. Obviously, you're new here, but this is a team that has put a lot of resources into the defensive line over the last few years. What is the general feel when you join a group like this, and how aware of you were you of their success last year?
Oh man, whenever I watched them on TV, man, it was a sight to see. You know, when you get around a group like this, you try to figure out what you can add to the group. You know, you just want to play off those guys, and just try to be a sponge and soak up, the game that they have. And also that way you can be a great part of the group also.
Kerry, are there any guys that have really stood out to you where you didn't realize from watching TV just the talents they have?
I think it's pretty well documented. Like the whole D-line as a group, they're just a great group of guys. They pretty much got all the tools: fast, big, long. These are premier D linemen. So I'm just glad to be a part of the group.
Hey, Kerry, my name's Tracy Sandler. Getting out there, your second day in pads. I know it was pretty hot out there, but can you just talk about what it was like to be back on the field and playing some sort of football?
It's always a good feeling. This is what we get paid to do, man. This is what we've been doing our whole life. So, after a long, being locked in the house and stuff, and be out there with your teammates and being pads is always, it's hot, but it's definitely just a great feeling to feel the environment.
Hi, Kerry. I know that you have a reputation for being able to play across the whole line. You did that with Dallas last year. I'm wondering if you could kind of summarize or take me back through your development as a defensive lineman. Did you start on the inside? Did you start on the outside? And how did you develop the ability to play across all those spots?
Well, yeah, in college I was mainly a 3 technique, and I came into the NFL as an interior defensive lineman. But after being with Chris a while, he suggested that I move to defensive end, and I was able to go outside and make some plays out there. So I've always considered myself a defensive lineman, not an inside-outside guy. I just try to get in where I fit in, and, adding versatility to a group is just, kind of what I've been able to do.
Hey, Kerry, this is Eric Branch, and I see you in person. How are these last, I guess the first 4 practices gone for you, and where do you feel as far as, getting whatever rust off and all that?
I feel pretty good. It's when you're in training camp, man, it's all about getting a little bit better each day. Trying to find something that you didn't do well on the day before, and just trying to be, good on that the next day. Like, no day is gonna be perfect, but the goal is just to be a little bit better the next day.
We'll do one more for Kerry.
Kerry, you mentioned your relationship with Kocurek. How do you learn to deal with all the yelling, and how do you maintain faith that it's coming from a place of love?
Well, he's the same person every single day. He's going to give you 110%, and he's always shown me that he just wants the best for you. So you got to be able to take coaching. You got to be able to understand he just wants the best for you and the best for the team.
All right. Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you, guys.
Javon, it's Josh Dubow from Associated Press. Just wondering, what's it like as a rookie trying to fit in on a line? We got so many accomplished players on it already. How do you go about fitting in with these guys?
Well, right now I'm just taking it one day at a time, day by day, just living in the present. Honestly, I just try to fit in by just, getting with the vets, asking them questions daily, just trying to keep my mind fresh on a lot of things. And I think I'm gelling well with everybody, so.
Javon, this is Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee. How would you assess your performance so far, just through 4 practices?
I would be lying if I thought it was good, but I mean, I'm making improvements. That's the main thing. Just get better day by day. That's it. That's all I'm really trying to do. I knew coming in that it wasn't gonna be easy. So I already had prepared myself for that, and I see the improvements daily. So.
Hey, Javon, can you explain kind of what your off season was like, where you were working out, and as part of that, was it the knives workout that you had that looked possibly dangerous? Have you ever had a close call with your knives workout?
That was some little fine tune stuff I was doing with my homie Cam. I was out there in Maryland. We was just getting a little work in, just trying to stay active. But the whole off season, I was really, once I got drafted, I was getting with Coach, and he was just giving me a lot of stuff to do, like doing stuff that we do in Indy. I was doing it in the summer, so it wasn't like I wasn't really like green to a lot of stuff, I kind of already had experienced a little bit of everything, so that's mainly what I was doing. A lot of indie drills.
Hey, Javon, Jennifer Lee Chan with NBC Sports. First of all, just have you always been this much bigger than the rest of like the people in your same age range? And what have you learned from Nick Bosa and Dee Ford, kind of just working with them on the defensive line?
I think I've probably all my life been the biggest guy, so that's nothing new. But honestly, coming in, I thought I was going to be like, another guy. But I'm coming and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, well, dang, I'm the biggest guy. But it's like, just because I'm big, that don't really mean nothing. Because, I mean, everybody's strong, everybody big, it's all about technique for me now. And just getting with D, D, man, D got an old soul, so whatever D say, I'm tuned all the way into it. Whatever he tell me, whatever advice he give me, I take heed to that, and I really appreciate guys like D because, he could just be like, okay, this a rook. I ain't gonna really, put him on game about a lot of stuff, but he put me on game about a lot of stuff, and I'm listening, taking care of myself. Bosa, it's just, just trying to match his intensity, I see him out there, he's out there early, before practice, after practice, he's working out every day, working hard, that make me feel like that's what I need to do. But the key right now for me is trying to find my own routine, but just watching those guys work, it just make you want to work harder. So.
Hey, Javon, Nick Wagner from ESPN here. Has anything caught you by surprise now that you're with the team and actually able to be out on the field so far? If so, what?
Nothing really caught me by surprise because I knew it was gonna be faster. I knew it was gonna be stronger. I knew I was gonna be fatigued. So nothing really surprised me. I knew I was gonna have to work on pad level, hand placement and things like that. I knew I wasn't gonna have, the best craft. You know what I'm saying? So nothing really caught me by surprise.
Hi, Javon. This is Matt Barrows. I wanted to know how your one-on-one matchup with Laken Tomlinson went today and whether you can sort of feel the difference between an NFL starting guard like him versus the guys that you'd been going against in college all these years.
I'll tell you what, the other day, he wore me out the other day. Like, I'm used to playing bully ball in college, but it's like everybody here is strong, And then they playing with good pad level, I'm running out the ball at him, and his head is like below my sternum. You know what I'm saying? So, but today, I think it favored me a little more today. But the thing is just that he just helps me get better so much, you know. He been teaching me about taking care of my body, you know. Lake is the ultimate teammate, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate him so much for everything that he really been telling me and putting me on game about.
Hey, Javon, it's Tracy Sandler. You just said a little bit ago that you're working on finding your own routine. Can you talk about what that routine looks like?
Right now it's just getting in early, going to treatment, taking care of myself, just trying to warm up early, making sure I'm hitting the tubs every day, at least twice a day. Right now, you know, I'm still trying to figure it out, you know. But whatever some things I see guys doing, I try to do that. If it worked for me, I add it in. If it don't work for me, you know, I toss to the side and try to find something else to add into my routine, you know.
Hey, Javon, Jake Hutchinson. Have the coaches been limiting you a little bit in individual drills to help you, you know, sort of watch and learn, or is that
Heck
no?
Coach threw me in the fire off the rip. Yeah, he threw me in the fire since day one. You know, since walkthroughs, he threw me in the fire. So, nah, it ain't no limiting thing, and that's what I like. You know, Coach, he only want the best for you. You know, and I really appreciate him for that. You know, he the same guy every day. He a madman. That's what he is. You know, you got to come out. But the thing is, if you ain't got no energy, best believe, by the time Indy over, you gonna have some energy messing with him. So.
Hey, Javon, just a quick follow-up. How much did you weigh at birth? And then is this weather not a problem for you because you've dealt with it being from where you practiced before?
At birth, I was like 10 pounds, 8 ounces. And the weather caught me off guard because it's been kind of hot. You know, being in Colombia ain't nothing like Colombia, but it's been a little hot, though. It's been a little hot. Caught me off guard.
Hey, Javon, David Lombardi. I know your work with Cam this offseason. You worked on some hand movements, and obviously Nick Bosa, your teammate, he's been a specialist in that for a while. I'm wondering if you've gotten a chance to you know, just talk shop with Nick and you know, about your hand placement as defensive lineman, and if you've been able to make some more progress ever since you came to camp.
I've been working a lot of hands, but right now, my thing to get better at right now is just power rushes, you know, because I have a lot of power, you know, and when I use it the right way, it could be deadly, you know. So right now, I've been just worrying about working on my power rushes. And once I feel like I got some of those rushes in the bag, then I'll start transitioning over to more finesse rushes, you know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Javon.
All right, no.